take your seat in a few minutes and we'll get going with the show. Thank you. Welcome everyone, and hope everybody has a really nice evening. We got a great lineup tonight, and this is my first time being to Ideas, so it's all new to me, but I'll try to do my best. And I'm also going to be performing tonight for you as well as being your host tonight. My name is Mike McGuinness. I think this is a great opportunity for people to get together and talk about what's important to them and to celebrate this beautiful island that we live in. I'm always cognizant of the beauty that envelops me when I'm on Cape Breton Island, and we have some great people here tonight. And we also have somebody that Donovan Shirt came all the way from Edmonton, Alberta, and it's his birthday tonight too, so we should all wish him a very happy birthday. So I'd like to thank people right off the bat, because I'm going to be reading a little bit off of the paper, to be honest with you, because I think Jill McPherson did such a great job of giving me a lot of guidance, so I really want to thank her for sure. And she's been great, and I might pronounce some people's names incorrectly, and I really apologize, but another person that has been very, very helpful is Marcia Ostashevsky. I'm sorry, Marcia, I'm sorry. Ostashevsky? Thank you so much, I'm sorry. Ideas powered by Passion is partnering with Singing Storytellers. So a big thank you to Marcia for that. So we're going to follow a slightly different format from our other Ideas events, but it will still be filled with creativity, passion, and inspiration. Just a little housekeeping just before we get going, okay? A big shout out to our production sponsors, Darcy Campbell and Scott Moore of Nova Stream. We are also live streaming, so a warm welcome to the world. A big thanks to our sound man, Albert Leone, and big thanks to all for making Ideas run so smooth. There are multiple washrooms, so you can take the far right exit, and there is a washroom to your left. Right and down the hall for wheelchair accessibility. And you're all invited to stick around after the show tonight, and so that we can mingle and talk to one another and share our passions and share our ideas. As well, you can explore the beautiful art you see displayed around the room, and enjoy some delicious treats from Horizon Achievement Center. As well, if you see Erica Shea, Erica, are you here? Okay. But you can provide her with your email address to make sure that you'll be up to date on all the upcoming events. I think to start off the program tonight, it's really important that we honor Ryan Gillis at this time. Ryan is a young man from Sydney Mines who found the courage, despite many challenges, to make significant changes in his life. And he inspired others through his will and dedication to do the same. Ryan discovered a passion that changed his life: yoga. He devoted his time practicing yoga and delivering his message of hope to other people struggling with addiction. I believe this thing called life, says Ryan, is about being of service to others and by practicing unconditional love. As some of you know, Ryan passed away in a car accident while working in Alberta. He was 30 years old. We want to dedicate this evening to Ryan, his passions, and his philosophy of life. And we're about to see a beautiful video. And I can honestly say that I've never been so touched and inspired by a video before. But when I saw this video, it just warmed my heart. And I just want to honor Ryan in every good way tonight, and would like to see the video.
Well, I grew up down by Notre Dame School, and it was an area where there was a lot of low-income housing. There was a lot of alcoholism in families and stuff, and nobody talked about anything. You know, everybody, if something went on in the houses and in the homes, or the cops were called for domestic disputes or anything, it wasn't, everybody just hushed it and kept to themselves. And it seemed, I look back at it now, and growing up there, it was like everything was a secret, you know, and everything, and different things, right? And I didn't grow up in that. I had everything I wanted, you know, everything that I really needed. I grew up playing baseball, hockey, dressed well, you know, and it wasn't that, but it was, I developed the behaviors and the beliefs being in around that area, and it was just a way of life. I remember it was grade 5 or 6, and my parents were getting divorced, and I remember going to school, and I remember, I remember how good I was at playing the victim to get attention, right? And I would cry at school, and I would tell everybody what was going on, and because I just want the attention, you know what I mean? I just wanted everybody to have the attention on me. And even grade 6, the summer of grade 6 going into grade 7, I started experimenting with smoking marijuana and hash and stuff like that, you know, because it was starting to really hurt. I didn't really know what was going on back then, you know, at that time. And then grade 7, it was like I gravitated towards the drinking on the weekends and the crowd, and then it was something's wrong with Ryan, right? Like, so, and then I got the message that there was something wrong with me, like from my teachers or whoever it was, and it didn't really matter. It's just the message that came through my thinking process, you know what I mean, my belief system. And then it was like, there's something wrong with me, and it was like when I found that drugs made me feel accepted and comfortable, and I could go around crowds and I would just numb out, it was like it was my best friend. Because I knew that drugs and alcohol could change the way I felt. It made me feel good. And the disease of addiction is really a disease of feelings, right? And it's like I used to get a feeling or I used to take away a feeling. Grade 8 was when I started using Electropam and Xerox and stuff like that there, and I was going to school like this, and it was either kicked out of school or I didn't show up for school or I was expelled. I stole from everybody around me. It was like the thing was to go breaking in people's barns and cars and mischief like that there, and it was I took from people, right? I took from society, and the more I did that stuff, I knew that because when I grew up in my family, my parents, my mother, my father, and people, they told me that you don't take what's not yours, and I did anything I could. The ways and means reflected desperation to get my drugs way back at that age, right? Like I started smoking crack cocaine, and then it was I was really like I was a weekend user, and I was snorting cocaine and stuff like that there, but then it got into like the crack cocaine with some of my friends and stuff. And it was like, oh well, I'm just doing it a little bit, right? I'm just doing it on the weekends. They do it every day, all day, and I'm not that person, right? Yet, but it was. And then it started to develop, I was that person, but I was like, I'm not going to tell anybody that. I'm not going to, and then the inward, right, and the guilt and the shame and condemned by my own guilt, you know what I mean? And anything that came in between me and my drug, anything came in between me and my drug getting out right here, right now, it was gone out of my life. My opinions about them, and 21, I lost Andrew Campbell. He died in Toronto, in Ontario, and I was pallbearer for him, and that was drug related. Then it was like Alec Johnson died, and another young buddy of mine, and then it was my best friend Zach, when I was he died when I was 25, and I was actually I was home 3 weeks before Zach's for my 19-year-old cousin Roddy Gillis drug overdose. I got to call that another one of my childhood friends, Colin Porter, passed overdose. So and Stephen Capstick and Kyle Walsh and Merv Miller, and the list goes on and on. Like me and Merv were tight buddies, sailed on, and all these young people. My uncle shot himself over alcoholism. I didn't think that smoking hash and weed and experimenting on the weekends and that would lead me to the streets of Lower East Side, Vancouver East Hastings, shooting heroin in my arm. I didn't think that I would get that bad. I always said I'll never be that guy. But in the back of my mind, I knew I was heading down that road, right? And I knew, and I truly believe that an addict knows that when they can't stop, that they're my beliefs, but I believe that there's a point in time when you know that you're powerless, and when you're saying, oh, I'm not gonna do it today, and you wake up and you do it, the powerless feeling that you get when you just can't stop, because that's when you know you're addicted. That's when, and it was like the hash and the weed. I knew that I was addicted then, but I didn't think that I was gonna end up doing needles and that, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't think I would become an IV drug user on the street, and mentally it was very, like I was so full of shame and guilt, you know, and I started really getting into trouble then. I remember I was 114 pounds. I went into jail in Grand Prairie. I was skin and bones, scabs all over my face, and I was just, I was broken. And it saved my life because if I had kept going, I definitely would have died. Like, the cops were in awe when they saw me, like, how are you even, you know, and I was so malnourished, and I remember the nurse weighed me at the jail, and she said, you know, we got to get some meat on your bones, or you're gonna perish, right? So it was like, there was a deep feeling then that I knew that I had to do something, that I knew I was killing myself. I ended up on the streets in Cape Breton. My parents, my family shut me out. There was no Ryan. Like, I wasn't allowed around because I either stole from them or I was very intoxicated when I was around them. I wasn't allowed in anybody's houses. Nobody wanted me around no more. No friends. Everybody, you know, it was. I ended up on the streets in Halifax, and you know, I was at the turning point in Halifax, and I remember I was behind the building, and I was all out of money. Everything was done again. I wrecked everything again, and I remember I shot my last bit of dope in my arm, and I said, God, I can't do this no more. And I remember saying that, and it was like, I went to detox. And I went to detox 50, 60 times or more, and all over Canada. In 2008, 2009, I went to Alcare Place in Halifax, and I got into 12-step fellowship, and I remember the hope and the message that they carried in the rooms, and I saw that people all over the world were getting clean and staying clean by practicing spiritual principles. And it was abstinence from all drugs, right? And I was diagnosed with Hep C from, I think it was around 22 or 23 years old. And another thing that I really had trouble with and made it more than what it was, but I decided to get treatment for my Hep C. That they had done a liver biopsy on me years before this, and my genotype was good, and they said they could cure me. So I was at Lululemon in Halifax, and then the word got out to my mom and my aunt, and they were like, oh, your cousin's a teacher, and your aunt's a teacher, and then I contacted my cousin Amanda. I went to her classes, and then it was instantly I fell in love, and it wasn't so much, it wasn't about the physical part. It was at first, and it felt good because I was stretching and stuff, but it was when the teacher started talking to my spirit, and it was like, you know, practicing humility. You can come into child's pose and honor your body and listen to your body, and it knows best. And then I started connecting with my spirit, and it was fell in love with it, man. I practice yoga every day. I go to a 12-step fellowship. I'm very involved in that. I give back to life. You know, I truly believe you can only keep what you have by giving it away, and what that means is you know, you can only keep love by giving love away. You can only keep honesty by being honest. You can only practice spiritual principles and live these spiritual principles. And I travel. I'm going to Africa. I do things for my recovery, and I just try to tell my story and help others.
And Ryan wanted to be with us tonight. He wanted to be here tonight. And I believe in some ways he is here with us tonight. And his family wanted this video shown to us. And I'm so pleased and so inspired. So I'd like to honor Ryan and his family tonight and thank them so much for sharing his story with us. I'm going to invite someone up to the stage right now. We're going to go move into Donovan is going to come up to the stage right now. Donovan Shirt. And I'm just going to introduce him for you. Donovan Shirt is an Emcee from Frog Lake Cree Nation in Alberta. He joined the local hip-hop group Collective Conscience, who came together in an attempt to change the views among their friends, family, and other young people in the city. The crew consists of a team of youth and young adults working together to send a positive message to Aboriginal youth and to all youth in urban communities. Donovan uses his music and lyrics to share his and other youth's stories in a way that is engaging, fluid, and entertaining. Most days he can be found at iHuman working on his music or as a youth ambassador for the Links Mental Health Clinic. And like I said before, it's his birthday today, so it's a very special day for us and a very special day for him.
Okay. Yeah, my name's Donovan. Hi. I don't know, I was just still getting over the video. It's crazy. Yeah, so this has been a crazy experience. This is my first time flying out. This is my first time even traveling, especially to Cape Breton. It's like a beautiful place. I'm just gonna sit, because it makes things easier. So, I'm here to talk about me, my story, I guess. So anyways, yeah, so my name is Donovan. I come from Frog Lake First Nation or whatever, yeah. But, they talk about this passion that I have, and I like emceeing, like rapping and stuff like that. And a lot of people view it in society as a negative thing, like rap's only about girls and rap's only about money and whatever. But before we get into that, I'm gonna talk about how I discovered it and stuff like that. So I grew up in a reservation of Frog Lake, and a lot of the people, they still recover from like the residential schools and stuff like that. And a lot of those communities, Native communities everywhere over there, they suffer from alcoholism and drug abuse and all of that. And I was seeing it when I was like 5 or something, seeing those abusive relationships. And I wasn't aware of it. You know, at the time you get adjusted when you're young, you're just like, yeah, whatever, it's something that usually happens. And yeah, so my mother was even in an abusive relationship, and a few of those, and to me it was normal, right? I never did hit girls. That's one thing she always told me when I was younger, is to never hit a girl, never do that. So that's something I stay away from. But anyways, yeah, so, sorry, my bad, I'm nervous. So, yeah, so we moved to Edmonton, Alberta, nice city, and whatever, and it wasn't very accepting when I first moved there. It was like, see from the res, everybody speaks Cree, everybody has that accent, so, of speaking Cree. So I had that accent, and I always go home and kids would be like, Mom, why do kids always say I speak funny? And why do kids pick on me? Because I talk weird, right? Because they drag their words real long like that. So I'd always get laughed at for that. But anyways, we're gonna fast forward, or difficult relationships between my siblings and always fighting and other people in the community, and it was just bad. I grew up around 107th, no, that's ghetto, Stony Plain Road in Edmonton, Alberta, and West End and whatever. Sorry, my bad. I'm just nervous, man. It's like I perform in front of so much crowds and all these people. I'm just nervous just because the video is crazy, man. And it's those type of things. Yes. So anyways, so I was about all those, whatever, grew up ghetto, all these type of things. And about 11 years old, it was constant fighting and constant whatever with my siblings, and it was just dysfunctional. I never did try whatever, like go around and try and impress friends, and a lot of them had older brothers that were mostly gang related and stuff like that, so we're influenced. And so with that, I started stealing bikes. I started stealing little MP3s, or what are those called, the Walkmans? They used to have those. And so yeah, we go steal these things. We steal CDs and all these type of things. And eventually it led to stealing and going into whatever. And then, yeah, and I stole a car at one point. Well, I didn't. Me and my brother did. And there was 2 girls there. And it just escalated to those type of things. Just once, though. It was bad. Like, I got so yelled at by my mom. I was like 10 when that happened. It was crazy. But anyways, later on, so the fighting continued. A lot of dysfunction within the families and whatever. Families have that, yeah. And, but we had this nice guy that was around the whole time. We had a nice guy, he'd come home. Well, he wouldn't come home, he'd come visit, and whatever. His name was Darcy. And I was told, I don't know, I thought he was just my mom's friend. And I was like, who is this Darcy guy? Like, how'd you meet him? Oh, well, he's a worker. And I was like, okay. What does he work for? Youth. He works for youth. And I was like, okay. Yeah, what's a youth? I didn't. So, and she told me, oh, he's just a nice man who's here just to come be around you guys and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, nice. Someone wants to be around us. That's cool, you know? So, yeah, my bad. So he was a nice guy. We got to know him a lot. He'd take me out to eat almost every time I'd see him. So I was like, yeah, when's Darcy coming over? I'm hungry, you know? So, but then after a while, so much fighting started happening and moving around different place to place, and we'd always put holes in the walls or whatever. And then one day, Darcy comes over, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna take your brother out to eat. So we did. But I never seen my brother again. And I was like, okay, where's Adrian? Oh, he left with Darcy, he'll be back later. Darcy comes back. He was next day, and he's like, hey, Brett, your big brother. I'm like, no, yeah, I'm gonna take him out to eat probably or something like that. So he did, and he was gone. And I was like, where are these guys, man? Where are they going? Like, what's happening? And then, yeah, my sister had told me, yeah, your brother's going away in there in group homes and stuff like that. I said, what's a group home? They're like, it's like a home with a group of kids. I was like, okay, why are they there? Why don't they just come back? Well, they're going to be gone for a while. And then, yeah, so Darcy comes back. He's like, hey, man, how you doing? You having a good day? I was like, yeah, man, what's happening? He's like, well, there's this thing, your mother told you that you're aware of your brothers being in group homes and all of this and that. I was like, yeah, and he's like, well, we're going to put you in one. And I was like, okay, that sounds weird. I thought I was going for the day. So anyways, he's like, yeah, so we're going to go for a meeting, or we're going to go to my office, we're going to go for a meeting or whatever, and then all this isn't going to happen, I'm going to take you out to eat, but first we're going to go out to Stony Plain for the meeting. Or I got to stop by Stony Plain. And I was like, okay, cool. So we get in the car, we started driving, and he's a nice dude. He's been around all my life. So we get in the car, we drive in, and I'm like, yeah, such nice neighborhoods. And then we keep going, and I'm like, yes, smaller kind of houses. That's pretty cool. These little small area. And then I start seeing houses get farther apart, and then I start seeing trees, and then all I see is trees. And then I'm like, man, where are we going? Like, you know, I grew up in the city, so I was like, oh my God, trees. So we get up in there, we stop at Stony Plain, and he's like, all right, pull up at a nice little house, but I had a big fence around the back of it. I was like, okay. He's like, hey, you want to come in for a drink? And I was like, yeah. So I get out and I'm going, I'm hungry, I'm tired, and I'm like, man, I hope they got like Coke inside. And I hope they got all this and that. And then we open the door and some lady's like, welcome to your new home. And I was like, whoa. Wait. I was like, yo, let's leave. This is crazy. This woman's crazy. She thinks I live here. And so we move up in there. And it turns out, yeah. So we went downstairs, we did assessment, and they showed me a room. As soon as I got there, I stayed in that room for a quiet time. You sit in your room for hours. And bolted down beds and barred windows and like metal cubbies. I was like, damn, am I in jail? It's like, man, I started thinking back that day before, and I was like, man, I didn't mean to eat all like the cake and stuff, and I didn't mean to drink all the juice, man. I don't want to be here. So I called my mom. I was like, Mom, why don't you just buy more juice, man? Can I just like come home? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to drink it all. And these people think I live here and whatever. And she said, oh, it's only for a little while. I was like, okay, whatever. So I ended up living there for about 10 months. I hated it. Because I was under 12, I couldn't leave for like 5 minutes. And I couldn't enjoy luxuries that a normal youth would do, like go to the park or go hang out with kids or do this and that. I wasn't allowed to. So eventually I started making these little plans to leave and whatever, and I started running away back to Edmonton. And long story short, eventually I got back to Edmonton, and there was nothing to run away to. It was just, there's nothing. Like, obviously, I was a violent kid. I'd make holes in the wall, so it's like I couldn't stay with anybody. I couldn't really do anything. I had a lot of friends, though, so I was couch surfing for a long time. But I moved around. They put me more of these group homes, and I keep running away from them. And about around that time, it just kept going like that. And then eventually, I was homeless. It was just boom. It was just one day I was just living nowhere. And at the time, I was like, whatever, I'm on my own, I'm doing my thing. But it's just like, no, it's different when you're stealing to eat and you can't even change. And I lived like that for a long time. It's really difficult when you're homeless. And that. But 2 years of it was crazy. Just the 2 years of being homeless from that age to younger, and then at the time my mother had caught, I grew up without a father as well. He wasn't around. But my mother had caught cancer, and I remember her telling me over the phone, she was like, I called her and I was like, hey Mom, how you doing? And she's like, it's not a good time. And I was like, why? And she told me, well, I'm just gonna tell you because Don, I just want you to know that I love you, whatever. And I had found a lump. I was like, yeah, cool. What's that? So what is it? And she said, oh, I found a lump in my breast. And I was like, I thought chicken right away. I was like, why don't you take it back, go get a refund? And she said, no, it's cancer. I said, damn. So at that time, the thought of losing your mother at that age, and plus whatever, it really put me really depressed. I didn't want to open up to nobody. I didn't talk. I didn't do anything. But I did. A lot of my friends would try to encourage me to drugs and all this and that. And the only thing I ever touched was just weed. It's not just weed, but it's just that was my remedy for everything at the time. It was just smoke weed, sit around, and go steal food. That's all I would do. And in the surroundings, it's just straight a circle of friends full of alcoholism and stuff like that too. And all these kids were around my age, so we're very influenced by these guys. But anyways, so eventually, yeah, deep depression and whatever, and things just started looking so down. Like I started living in stairways, and I started living in just parkades. People would go People Park, and I go sleep there. And then, yeah, and it's just crazy, and it's just the emotions that come with being homeless after a while when nobody wants to talk to you, and the way you look, and in society back there at home, nobody likes homeless people. They don't like them. You know, they smell, they do this and that, whatever. And I didn't realize there was a lot of racism in Edmonton at the time. I don't know if a lot of y'all have been there, but they had these things called free cab rides the police would do. And what happens is that a native shall be walking in somewhere between midnight or somewhere it's around where there's nobody around. And what they would do is that they would take them, and it sucked in wintertime too, they would take you and they'd take you to the border of the city or like the edge of it or somewhere away from people. And they would beat you up, they'd take your jackets and all your belongings. And sometimes your shoes, I don't know. But that was something where everybody was aware of at that time. And so yeah, this thing would happen. A lot of people wouldn't talk about it. Nobody talks about anything. And yeah. So there's a lot of racism and stuff like that happening in Edmonton. And I didn't realize, but after a while I found out. Yeah, I didn't want to talk about that. I just found out the hard way. And basically ideas powered by passion. So I'm here to talk about the passion and stuff like that. My bad, just points, I guess. But yeah, so homelessness and stuff like that, and it's just crazy. It's just crazy because around this time, discovering all these issues such as racism, already homelessness and whatever, and nobody to rely on, no friends, no family. Yeah, like in homelessness in Edmonton, it's a crazy feeling. A population this is a small town, so it's just like a population like 10 times this. Maybe, I don't know how big this place is, but a population that big where nobody cares about you and no one's willing to help. Especially at times when you're dealing with depression and anxiety and you start feeling these emotions. And it just got to a point where I was wandering around in the middle of nights, and you feel like the end coming, and it feels like, am I gonna die like this? And it's just like, and such a young cat feeling like this, right? Like, damn. And so I really had nothing to do, and then one day, me and my twin brother and my cousin, we was watching Hustle and Flow. And we watched 8 Mile. It was like, yeah, you ever see those movies? 8 Mile, it's like Eminem, whatever, battle rap, whatever. So we was like, yeah, that's so dope, man. He like schooled those guys and he served those guys. So we wanted to do the same thing. So he's like, man, we can start rapping too. And so at first everyone was rapping to be cool. Like, yeah, whatever, be gangster and stuff like that. But anyways, so in my homelessness, I got into it a little more, but I didn't really discover it. And then one day I was walking by a Max, a convenience store. And this one cat was standing there. He's like, hey, man, you got change? And I was like, nah, man. He's like, all right, well, I'll rap for you for a cigarette. And I said, what? No way. And so I did have a pack of cigarettes, so I gave him a cigarette. He started rapping to me, and I was like mind blown. I was like, man, the messages and stuff like that, and he empowered me, whatever. And so I talked to him. I was like, why? How? What? Like, I was like, damn. So, and he's like, yeah, man, it's just like emceeing is a power. It's a power and a passion to me. And this cat, he goes by the name of Star Child, or whatever. And he was the main kick to that. He introduced me to it. And so we started getting more and more into it. And and it just became this thing. It was just like, damn. And after a while, I started hanging out with this guy more, and he was homeless too. So it's just like we spent all that time doing it and practicing it and freestyling and whatever, to a point where I forgot about everything. It's like one day we'd be having a session, we'd be writing bars, and then I'd leave, and I'd be like, oh yeah, life, damn. So, yeah, and he told me at a point, about after years and years of being homeless and depressed and whatever, he told me, hey man, we in Churchill Square, we doing this thing called a cypher, and with a group called Collective Conscience. I was like, what? And he's like, yeah. So he's like, come through and you start rhyming with us, and maybe you could be a part of the group. And I was like, oh my God, I should do it. So I went and did it. And then seeing these guys, I was like ready. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna start schooling cats, and I'm gonna show them I could be a good MC, a part for the group. I remember that. And I was like, yeah, and then these guys started rapping, and I was like, hey, I don't know, I want to go home. I don't want to mess with these guys, man. But, I didn't say I want to go home, obviously, I didn't have one. But just those type of things. And then eventually, yeah, so they told me go home. Yeah, that's awkward. So they said, go home, write stuff, and come back and be a part of the group. I was like, damn, okay. So I went home, I wrote. I didn't go home, I went to a Tim Hortons, a 24-hour Tim Hortons. I sat in there and I wrote these verses, and I don't even remember them now. But then I went back and they said, you'll be a part of the group, and our messages and our powers and our points to what we do is to empower people in our situations and stuff like that. He's like, we go to this building called iHuman, and there's actually a block party there right now. We can go. And I said, I'll meet you there. And I was really hungry. So I went and stole some food. I ate. And I was still really hungry, and I seen this kid, and he's like, hey, man, everybody went over to the iHuman block party. You should go. There's rap in there. And I was like, nah. He's like, there's artwork. And I was like, nah. There's graffiti. It's like, nah. And he's like, there's food. I was like, okay. Let's go. So I went, and then I go down this block, and it's real ghetto. And there's like people using there, and there's like people drunk and staggering, and I was like, man, I don't want to be here. And I look and I see a stage. And not to be too harsh, but all I seen on the stage was a bunch of dudes and then some guy with a big afro. He's my best friend. We call him Afro. That's his name anyways. But yeah, so shout out to Afro, by the way, cameras, if he ever sees this. But anyways, so I'm standing there and I'm like, man, these guys are pretty dope. This is pretty fun. Where's the food? And I get up in iHuman and I'm like, what's this place? And they're like, oh, it's a nonprofit youth organization that helps at-risk youth and stuff like that. I was like, okay, well, can I get a burger? And they're like, yeah, but we're doing registered youth first. So unless you're registered, you cannot eat until everybody here is eating. I was like, man, that's whack. I was like, nah, I'm gonna go register right now. So I went and registered. I came out and I was like, I'm registered, give me a burger. And she's like, here you go. And I was like, yeah. I don't even know where the rest of that day went, but I was like, hey, what? I got real hungry one day and I was just like, I was in like the river valley. I was like, man, I should go see if they have more burgers. So I went back to iHuman. And yeah, and they're like, oh yeah, you're freshly registered. So they gave me a tour of the place and whatever. And I was like, man, this is actually a really dope place. And that's the day I started getting more involved. I started experiencing in this element of hip hop that I do. And it was probably, it like shifted my life around so bad. Like so much, to a point where I can't even explain. There's nothing I could do to iHuman but thank them for all that they helped me and support me and stuff like this. Because in a situation where you feel like nobody loves you and nobody cares and nobody's there and nobody cares about like your feelings or what's on your mind, it's very sad. There's a lot of points where I tried to kill myself about 3 times. So when you're registering, they're like, oh, do you have problems with suicide? I was like, nah. It's like, no, that's whack, no. I'll mess with that. But before I went to iHuman, it was just like the craziest thing. It's like, it was something that I thought about daily. So, craziness. And thinking back, that was like my breaking point. That was just like at my fall, when I was at my lowest point, at one of my younger ages. And it's just crazy how much that can help you, and to a point where just experimenting in your passion. I'm not reading this, by the way. I just looked at it. But experimenting in your passion and stuff like that can help you out so much. I remember going to one of their ciphers and feeling like, man, I just want to go find a high level, and I just want to just go. There's nothing here for me. There's nobody here for me. It's not worth doing. I stopped by the cipher and I was like, man, I just enjoyed myself and the feeling, and it was so exhilarating and stuff like that, to a point where it's just like, I forgot I was even feeling like that. And yeah, and it's just crazy now how much that can transition to you, and how much it can just Can I just show it to you, actually? I don't want to rap. Is that cool? Yeah, I'm just going to rap for you guys. So at this point, it was like I was feeling like, I explained it in a verse, actually. And it goes like, see, now what people don't know, I'm at constant fight with homelessness. But there's no shame in my confession. I'm adapted to my loneliness. I practice with composure, getting fragile, getting older. But the fact is that I've had it with my habits of my roaming. As happy as getting closer, it collapses to a boulder. No attraction from the rations. I'm a black sheep in the global. While these letters are welded to beats in my head, it's the heaviest grief. I was thinking of better to cease, to finding a way to a shelter retreat from the streets that I sweep. I compete with the feet, but it seems that it's getting to me. The ghetto police, no bed when to sleep, but the days I got nothing to eat. So I keep to the pencil curve. I live with a bird is never suburban, feeling uncertain. Maybe your curse a turn and converted to worse in person. But I keep attacking from the bottom, all the whack that people follow, man, my mind is going crazy like an addict with no product. There's no job for where I'm paid and every day don't seem to change, but the least I have to cope is a healthy mental state. But as earth evolves, more observe the solve, and then the cycle spin. See, the world's a lesson, but deception taints the righteousness. While some minds are meant to heal but face abuse like Vicodins, foresight's disrupted, corrupt, the roads are hiking in. See, a shunned sight is likely when you're left without survival kits. Abusive lifestyles take place without hiding kids, and the luggage carries on. It's a scary bond with lives we live, from care to cause, shifting off, and the think is gone and the fight begins. While the seed decays, the essence and grief remains and spreads. It's when more than one faces when leaving adolescence. And the tragedy, it glistens, the sound wave's been risen, but the men that heal is halted with ignorance over listen. But I'm just my bad. Thanks. But I'm gonna keep going, cause I wanna finish. But it's the wisdom with musician giving raps your recognition. See, the help when it's spiritual, but most it is apparitions. So it's a ghostly global victims to this reckless repetition. Here we find ourselves stuck in this everlasting system. See, I'm just a life living, mic ripping rebel with a slight vision. My sight envisions light, but nothing's right when living like prison. See, my advice will smite your rhythm is to find the right precision and shoot for what you want to be, because life is like the women. It could be the best you had or decapitate you, man. But this life is what you make it, since it never goes as planned. Or it's like the railroad, see, you build it as you go, but expect the unexpected to teach the young and respect the old. See, I'm trying to bring the movement, unite with one another, because you and I is in community, it ain't nothing without the other. See, I take a breath, it's like, woo! Society's a rivalry among the public eyes, and see the rising means of why we be saying F the higher seats. Cause they hate collaborations of people seeking greatness, trying to separate the power of the people with the races. But don't believe a tinted skin makes you different to him when we all are getting messed by the government within. See, while every other day some haters trying to ruin mine, while my brothers think of mothers trying to find a smoother grind. But I'm just trying to keep the tuna line. Out the gutter soon to climb, but sooner or later catch a stomach, but F it, I'm doing fine. I used to wake up noon or later wondering what the title day would bring. Cut myself in a sort of life with no dad to try to replace this thing. So we grew up and get children trying to water down this flame within. This life we had was rough, but nothing I'd exchange it with. See, I'm a sleepless night crusader. I still wake at noon and get it. And life's still whatever, but I figured I would hit it, cause well, I'm the type to see romance and delete the means of whackness and quick to murk and talk up with these kids just for practice. But nowadays I'm pacing. I think of all the day spent. I was taught to grip the mic without the overcompensation. So there used to be a hole in me. Hip-hop evolved the soul in me, with mama always wondering every night of where I'm going. But please know that I'll be fine. I'll get back up on my feet. I'm just trying to be the person that I was raised to be. See, we was two little kids simply playing in the sand. Mom would say, smart enough, but they would never understand. See, was always in confusion. Me and Young Illusion, which is my brother. See, I believe I used to hate her, but still she'd mend the scars and bruises. But now we all have grown and I'm a mama's boy, your hand. See, whenever I was lost, she would always have a plan. But I love her soul to death. Her love's the greatest gift you get. See, single parents everywhere deserve the most respect. But not to gas them up or give reason they should flex. But tell the ugly parents that the more they're getting checks, because they're more than just a child, it's the future of our spot. This generation, this is stupid, it's the lessons they were taught, or what they seen as good, or what the older cats would do. But it wouldn't let a kid see struggle, so why the hell would you? Because if they see you as an idol, then they're guaranteed the title. But this ain't to certain people, see, we almost break the cycle. It simply ain't survival, passing by the days and nights. It's what affects the world, and we like to call it life. But participation's lacking. It's hard to find a balance, let alone a city, man, a country just get hacked. But I think I know the reason. It's friends committing treason, and every girl I had, like the left her was a cheater.
See, basically it's all with the uses of our trust. But let us think outside this box and see what we become. I'm thinking, what the heck is this? But every question has an answer. Every problem has solutions, but results in how it's handled. So I'm hoping for the best, and I just pray for guidance for us to find a way in a cipher absent-minded. And everyone to conquer all the mountains they be climbing. Resilience for the broken, and a love I hope you find it, because I'm sick of seeing different people always getting lost, though I lose it every day thinking of those who call the shots. But never mind the media, and never mind the agony, and never mind the person they, or the stuff that they expect to see. See, just be yourself, but be careful where you step. Because nowadays you fall and all you have is you for help. But it ain't too hard to process. I'm just being honest, because if it ain't the truth, then it ain't collective conscience. Shout out to Collective Conscience says it. Yeah, but anyways. Thanks. My bad for getting nervous though. It's just the whole beginning and it's just like randomly getting called up. I was like, wait, whoa. I was like, okay. Time to explain life. But see, those type of things is what I'm passionate about. And those type of things that help me discover new bridges and discover and meet new opportunities in life. It's simply by just be doing what you love and ignoring hatred. Because sometimes people get pessimistic on this road of life. And we tend to get sidetracked off into a different direction, right? But the whole point is just being optimistic in situations, even in the worst, and just doing what you love. Because that can reach so far to, from where you're at. See, now, I am a youth mentor. I'm a youth ambassador. I do all these different type of things. And homelessness really put a different kind of bar on my life that I just really couldn't reach without iHuman and stuff. So now, it's like after this passion, and after this and that. I work for a good organization. I work with wonderful MCs. Acknowledged in like the Edmonton hip hop scene. And to me, it's only been a dream. It turns out a guy that I worked with, my cousin Matthew Creation, he's a local DJ. I looked up to him most of my life, and I was like, man, I just really want to be around that guy. It turns out we were cousins, and I was like, whoa. And I was like, this small world. And I ended up hosting an event for him throughout the whole summer called Cypher Wild YEG. Whole point of that event was to bring hip-hop to a positive sense, because people see it so negative over there. And yeah, and one thing as I'm proud to say, I never touched a drink of alcohol, because it just devours communities from like the heart, you know? So I do that. I try and empower kids not to do that, and we help people get away from that type of struggle in that community of iHuman. And yeah, and now it's my birthday today. And it's crazy. It's so sad because my twin brother, I would have loved it if he could be here. But to spend it here talking with you guys is probably one of the most greatest things I could ever do. Like, I flew all the way over here. And I'm sorry, I know I didn't fly all the way over here just to be nervous in front of you guys. But, you know, I'm just a message about passion. It's like two people. And just be a community. Like, it's so nice around here. Like, it's so happy. Everybody says hi. Like, you can ask this guy. I was like walking out and everyone's like, hey, or hi, how are you? And I was like, well, this is weird. I'm going home. I was like, no. No, I'm good. So it's just like those type of things. It's just be yourself and follow what you love. And it gets you so far. Like, I never thought of fly across the country. And now I have my own place. When I moved back, I got my own apartment to go to. I just got it, actually. I didn't move in yet. So, thanks. It was crazy. It's another program that I engaged in that helped me get my own apartment. And I had a meeting with them right before the flight, too. I was like, hey, so what's gonna happen? We went through the meeting and everything, and she's just like, you're a nice guy. Yeah, you're gonna move in as soon as you get back. You're gonna have your own apartment. And I was like, cool. And I was like, wait, what? I was like, hold up. So it's just, man. But anyways, it's just craziness. But I just want to thank y'all for having me. And yeah, for some reason I want to say I love you, but it's just, Anyways, thanks.
Thank you so much. That was so from the heart. You're so inspirational. And it's people like you and Ryan who make us want to, go after what we really feel strongly about. And, thanking you for coming all this way. And it's so nice that you took your time out on your birthday to inspire all of us today. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm really looking forward to the rest of the show. Yvette Rogers is here tonight with us, and she is so inspirational. I got the pleasure of meeting her the other day, and I agree with all of the things she was telling me about with the creative economy, and I'm really looking forward to that. And we have Loppy Herney here as well, and Mary Lee Dennis from Eskazoni. I work as a clinical therapist. I cover 5 First Nations communities, and I also agree with what Ryan was saying about working with youth and having a vehicle with youth. I use music a lot. I developed the Tunes and Talk program, and I also teach judo. I've been doing judo for 42 years now. So I've been at it a long time. I've taught thousands of youth judo, and I've seen so many people grow from activities and become who they want to be. And when you're working with youth, talk therapy only goes so far. It's nice to have something to do with them and share and build that relationship through activity. I'm going to sing you a tune I wrote for my grandmother before inviting Loppy and Mary Lee up here to play with me as well. This song I recorded on my first CD back in the early 90s. It's called Grandma's House. And I'll probably take this mic here, yeah. And my grandmother, before she died, she was 83. We got her into the studio, and she welcomed me into her home at the end of the song. But this is a song I love to play because it makes me think of my grandparents. And right now, it's the home that they were living in might be torn down, and I'm thinking, how can I get this house and move it onto my property so that my children and my grandchildren and so forth get to enjoy this beautiful home. Did I just step into a rock well? Or is this my grandma's house, where a cup of tea never tastes so good, warming hearts and warming mouths? Like a shrine of childhood memories, molasses cookies and homemade cheese. It's been long overdue, but it's so nice to see you. I already hate to leave. As she rocks, she asks me questions, but it's her who has all the news about who's given birth and who left this earth, from Inverness to Port Hood. On this farm I spent my summers chasing chickens and building dreams. Yes, it's been long overdue, but it's so nice to see you. I already hate to leave. Oh, the night time seems the longest when there's no one dropping in. Not like in the old days when folks had a way of caring for friends and kin. And best of all, she's full of story. And what a memory for our family tree. Yes, it's been long overdue, but it's so nice to see you. I already hate to leave. Why do I drive by thinking there's no time to visit with the ones I love? It will be a sad day when it's finally too late for a visit to Grandma's house. Love to visit my grandma's house. La-di-da-di-da-di, da-di-da-di-da. Thank you very, very much. I have the pleasure of singing a lot of times with Loppy and Mary Lee. We enjoy getting together, and I'm so happy that they're here tonight. And so first of all, we're going to sing a song. We're going to get Loppy up here I'm going to play, and he's going to sing a song. And I want him to tell his story around this song. It's a beautiful, beautiful song. And Loppy has been playing music a long time. A lot of his inspirations are Hank Williams and the Beatles, and he's very eclectic, and he integrates a lot of different styles into his music, and he's a wonderful man. And talk about human warmth, that's Loppy. He's got it, and I'm just honored that I get to hang out with this guy.
Phone's on? Oh, yeah. What do I do? Tell the story?
Talk about the song first.
Oh, the song. Oh, this song I wrote. It was back, maybe about 9 years, maybe 10 years, or maybe a little earlier. I know it's. I wrote it for my wife especially. She asked me one day after I wrote a song for my niece, knocking at my window, and. She asked me, when are you going to write a song for me? I said, well, I'll write it, but I have to get the inspiration first. Then I thought about it for a few months until I got the inspiration, and I started writing and I started singing this song. And the first verse was beautiful. To me, it was beautiful. It's more like it represented her, it described her. And it went on. I sang it to her, the 3 verses. Oh, I sang it to her almost every other day. And when she became ill and sick, I still sang it to her to serenade her and to soothe her. And when she landed up in the hospital, which is I just summed it up in the second verse of the song, saying she wasn't smiling because she was in a coma. And then she came out of the coma, smiling again. And I felt so wonderful. And then I told her at one time, I said, there's a fourth verse coming. I said, but you won't be able to hear it because you will not be here. I knew that. It was told to me by a dream earlier, much earlier, even before she was sick. I knew that. And we made the best of our lives. And the fourth verse was written 2 days after she passed away. And the song, we just had it recorded not too long ago. It goes something like this. I hope you like it. You came into my life, smiling. You came into my life, smiling. Hey, don't you know that I love you so? Hey, don't you know that I care for you with a love that's so strong. When I saw you there, not smiling, when I saw you there, not smiling, hey Lord, you know that I love her so. Hey Lord, you know that I care for her with a love that's so strong. Well, you came back to me, smiling. Yes, you came back to me, smiling. I thank you, Lord, for being so true. I thank you, Lord, for being so true. I knew you loved her with a love so strong. She went home to you, smiling. smiling. She went home to you, smiling. I thank you, Lord, for being so true. I thank you, Lord, for being so true. I know you love her eternally. I know you love her Thank you. Thank you very much. I forgot one line. There was only one line that I just forgot.
And we're honored also to have Mary Lee Dennis come up. And I'm going to ask Mary Lee, please, to talk about the chant that she uses in this song. This is a song I wrote with an elder from Millbrook, Rita Stevens. And Mary Lee and Loppy heard it, and they added the chant to it. And I think Mary Lee has a story behind her chant.
Hi, I'm shy anyway. Well, this is the story. When I had a baby, about 47 years ago, the first one I had. And when the baby's born, and when the baby cries, then I turn around, then I pick the baby. When I pick the baby, I put her in my heart. And this shank says that the baby cries. And this song says, it comes to my heart. It doesn't come from anybody. Because this song is come from Native people. The Native people, they got their own songs. And all the songs, they're all different. And my song is come from in my heart. And the way you use it, and the way I'm using it, it's for my baby, the first one I had. Then I usually sing a song. Its name, Ichanko. It comes from my heart and my mind. Everybody has, all Native people got it. Not my song though. Everybody, all Native women's, they got different songs. So anyway, when I'm home, I usually singing. When I wash my dishes or when I do my work, then I'll sing this song. And every time when the baby cries, I sing it. And I'll say, Ichanko, Ichanko, Ichanki. Then I'll go like that. But it's really hard though. But Lappy hear me singing. And I didn't even know that he's going to do that to me. But because I'm always shy to face the audience the first time. So Lappy said, I want you to meet somebody. I said, who the heck it is? I said, I'm sorry. Who is it? The guy from the town. What town? Oh, Sydney. Oh, okay. I'll go with you. How many? Oh, just you and me and that guy. Okay. Then I'll go with you. I won't sing? No, you won't. You sure? Oh, yes, I'm sure. Well, and I sit down. When we come in, we sit down at the studio. What am I doing in the studio? Well, just sit down. There's 2 chairs there and the microphones there. Why you put 2 microphones there? Well, you're going to say something and I am going to say something. What's that guy doing there? Oh, it's just only, we'll be on the movie. What kind of movie? Okay. Then he sang a song. And you know what? I don't know what. Now you're going to sing. What do I sing? It's been a blue, blue day, or no? Okay. Then Lappy and I would sit down and we sing together. There's Lappy and me. Now come.
Oh, yes. I'm here. I'm here.
Oh my God.
I'll put this one up.
Y'all ready?
Yep.
Take care of me, my friends. Be by my side when I need you. Help me to be strong. Help me to keep my dreams alive. Keep my spirits high. I'll take care of you, my friends. I won't let your spirits die. With true friends by our side, we can push our enemies aside when we keep our spirits high, 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 high. I am part of you. You are part of me. Together we are one. We love in harmony. Be beneath Creator's sky. Our circle is so strong. We dance for Mother and praise her in our song. We dance for Mother and praise her in our song. And we keep our spirits high, 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 high. Thank you so much, Loppy and Mary Lee. Thanks for everything. You're welcome. Yeah, no, this is a great night. I'm really enjoying myself. Like, you know, like Donovan was saying, it's not easy to get up here. You know, and at least they're speaking from the heart. I'm speaking off of paper, so I got to give them credit, you know, for doing this. Just, you know, speaking from the heart, singing from the heart. I'd really like to take this opportunity to invite Yvette Rogers up here, and I'm really excited about hearing. I've already heard some of what she believes about the island, and her passion is so strong. And I'm just going to read you a little bit about her here. Yvette Rogers is passionate about Cape Breton Island and its social development. She is the outreach coordinator for the Celtic Colours International Festival, and also does freelance work as a community outreach consultant. No stranger to the arts, Yvette is an actor, dancer, singer, and songwriter. She is a big picture thinker, viewing social development as an anchor for economic development. She sees value in the intangible. Her passion for Cape Breton Island, coupled with her analytical perspective, lets her see the obstacles that impede our community's vitality, as well as the enormous potential in our surroundings. Please join me in welcoming Yvette Rogers.
I'm going to read off a paper too. I typed my heart out onto it earlier. So I'd like to thank everyone for having me, and this has been a great time thus far. Loppy had me in tears there with his songs. A little bit, I forget whether or not I wore mascara, and if I do, well then, too late. So, as stated, for those of you who don't know me, I am Yvette Rogers, and I am madly in love with Cape Breton Island. And I've always been passionate about Cape Breton. Thoughts of the island would always flood to the surface when I took my first stab at university about 18 years ago. I took a social welfare course, and when we were asked to put our social development goggles on, my mind was a flurry of thoughts, ideas about how programs and departments could be integrated to make the engine of Cape Breton society work most efficiently. And some of those thoughts and ideas are still flooding to the surface. As I live and work here today, making a go of it, as it were, seeing what positive and wonderful things this place has to offer, and navigating the obstacles that are ever present. I see the island for its many gifts. Its physical landscape presents such simple beauty. I consider myself fortunate for my perspective. I work for an international festival that celebrates Cape Breton and the Celtic cultural traditions that thrive here. And I love my job. And because of that job, I am lucky to get to travel around all corners of the island, and I continue to be awestruck by the soft folds of mountains, and the light, and the sea. Even if I'm glancing at a scene I've seen time and time again, I'm still wowed by it. And I appreciate how many resources the land provides. The bounty of food that can be grown here is diverse, and the opportunity to grow or raise what nourishment we need to survive is present. And if any of you had ventured into the September's 50% local challenge, I'm sure you can attest. I see what assets are available to us, the knowledge of our elders, the skills and wisdom that they can provide to the younger generations. It's valuable. And I see how fortunate we are to still live in a time when we have access to that knowledge and that wisdom. But I also see what obstacles we face as a people, and I see what challenges are present for those who live here on this beautiful island. And I know that not everyone who lives here shares my warm and fuzzy feelings for this home of our hearts, Cape Breton. For decades, one of the dominant thoughts with which we have been cultured has been the idea that the best thing for you is a ticket out of here. Now, we're not the only community to experience this. You could be from small town Indiana and face the same sentiment, or you could be from Shelburne. But this particular community, that sentiment that in order to be successful you have to leave, it's often there. Sometimes it's right in our faces, and sometimes it's just under the surface. And that attitude, I believe, it's cultured us to disrespect ourselves, collectively speaking. That collective message suggests that what lies beyond the causeway is of higher value than what is on the island. We've been socialized to accept, to include a dismissal of new thinking, like, so that'll never work here if a new idea is proposed, and the encouragement to leave is present. And I believe this contributes to a culture of disdain and of poor self-esteem, community-wise. And in order to unlearn that, to culture a new understanding and self-identity, we must embrace an attitude of possibility. And I personally believe that we must be open-minded when it comes to community management and direction. Now that attitude, that sentiment, there's nothing here for you, there's nothing to do here, that's a cousin of the widely accepted idea that suggests that we're hopeless unless a major industry plops a plant here and hires hundreds of people. And that sort of idea does not necessarily embrace an understanding of poverty, the kind of poverty that is present here in our community today, the kind of poverty that will not be erased because many jobs became available, the kind of poverty that is an obstacle to employability with limited education or limited skills to apply for those new jobs or a fixed address to put on a resume. That sort of idea, it won't be a magic fix for problems like addiction that currently plague a large portion of our population. We saw the video with Ryan Gillis. It was Ryan who planted that idea in my head that made the light bulb go off about addiction, that addiction is a disease of feeling, that it's something that is there to take away a feeling or give you a feeling that you don't have. Well, that's not going to be solved by putting more money in your hand. So that sort of idea that an industry en masse plops into town and hires a bunch of people, as valuable as it may be, it still misses the mark on the rest of what could be done to make or keep, if that's your perspective, this an attractive place to live. So then we ask ourselves, what attracts you to live in a place? Of course, employment is a major factor in choosing where you live, but what makes the place you live home? What about the kind of life you make? What if you had a choice? What if you gave yourself permission to believe there's a choice? What do you do with your time? What does life mean to you? Do you get up and have breakfast with your kids if you have children and get them off to school? Or is it that you have a habit of going running in the morning, or you have a monthly potluck with folks? Depending on your situation, your life is much more than only what you do for a living. It's about how you feel. And I'd like to impart upon us another idea. It's not a new idea. It's the idea that suggests we are not hopeless without one major industry setting up shop and hiring en masse. An idea that suggests we work from where we are and we work with what we've got. So where are we? If we take a moment to look at this corner of Cape Breton Island in particular, we're a community of communities. We're in a state of transition. We're navigating our way through life, collectively dealing with the move from a past that depended on and was shaped by major industrial Goliaths to a future that is unknown. And the present day holds some interesting obstacles and opportunities. We have the power to communicate with people all over the world within seconds. Things we consider of value are subjective. And that value system has changed many times over the past 100 years. Our capacity to move from one place to another has changed drastically over the past 100 years. So we are not unlike the tradesmen of days of old who were skilled at building horse carriages, who at one time found themselves wondering what to do next. Remember this: the state of transition is not exclusive to us. Other communities have faced it or are facing it. So although the uncertainty can be an obstacle, the fact that we have the capacity to communicate with others from anywhere in the world, in communities a lot like ours, and learn from how they've adapted to this transitional time, it's pretty beneficial. We have a declining population. So this has been heralded as a red flag. So are we setting about working on how to most efficiently manage the resources and services for the population that is still here? Are we asking the right questions when we look to see why our population is declining? Or are we slapping the blanket because jobs label on that? Do people leave because they want to have access to more opportunities? You bet they do. Do those opportunities always translate to mean jobs or money? Most certainly not. If we look at the declining population and we're hearing a call to action, except it's drowned out a bit by the island is sinking, we're on the brink. I'm sorry, but for those of us that would like to continue to work toward making this a thriving community, however tiny it might be, that's extremely distracting. If you were a surgeon and you were repairing a blood vessel, how helpful would it be to have a room full of onlookers in an absolute panic, going, "Oh my God, she's bleeding to death, she's gonna die"? I doubt that would be helpful. So I may suggest, while it's important to acknowledge the decline in our population, let's not wail about it to such a degree that it is keeping folks who work hard here, and I dare say love it here, from contributing to their community. It's important to acknowledge the various obstacles that exist here. So we've already identified one obstacle as that'll never work here attitude. But there are also other obstacles that play a front and roll center stage presence in the lives of many people who live here. For example, we have a large population who live in poverty. We have a broad spectrum of cultures and classes here in this corner of the island, and again, not exclusive to us. We are grasping with an ever-accelerating consumptive culture globally, and a stark contrast between the realities of the wealthy and the poor. Increasingly expensive costs of living, they make it difficult for people to meet their basic needs, and for those who are in the most disadvantageous position on the spectrum between wealth and poverty, life is a very complex piece of business. Where do you use the washroom? Where do you sleep? What do you wear? What to eat? These are very real problems facing people who live in Cape Breton every day. Finding an affordable, safe place to live is taxing for many people. We have a lot of houses for sale and not a lot of places for rent. Finding a place to do laundry is an obstacle. We have entire communities where there's no laundromat available. Finding a job but not being able to accept it, due to not having a reliable method of transportation. That's an obstacle. Not being able to access affordable childcare. That's an obstacle. And these obstacles, yet again, they're not exclusive to here, but they are still present here. These obstacles, managing the population that still live here, they need to be addressed. Now, I see both sides of this. I see these obstacles that can make it difficult to live here. And I see how people can get frustrated with the negative attitude, that island is sinking mindset, and want to leave here because of that, or believe that mindset and leave here because of that. And I see work that needs to be done to remove all of those obstacles. But I also see how some of those obstacles also reveal small business opportunities with childcare, laundromat. And I also see the advantages that exist from living where we are. I see that we are on an immensely beautiful island. We have agriculture and natural resource opportunities that have potential for growth. We live where a sense of community still exists. That is pretty special. We have a rich cultural heritage, a diverse cultural heritage. And we have a high concentration of artists and artisans in our populace. Musicians. Someone asked me once, how many musicians do you know? And I could only answer by saying that I knew fewer people who weren't musicians than who were musicians. And potters and writers and dancers and singers and painters and weavers and actors. These artists and artisans, they recognize the creative muse that can be felt here. Our island is a destination that people from all over the world want to visit. And we live in a time where the definition of industry, it's changing. And design and technology are major players in that redefinition. So in other words, we're situated in a time that provides a greater capability to work from anywhere in the world, including in the creative industries. So why not here? Here's where I believe we've collectively gone off course when it comes to working with what we've got. For example, when we say things, or when things are said, like we need to have activities for the cruise ship passengers, we're perpetuating the notion that people from elsewhere are worth more than people from here. Why not invest in programming so that there is daytime cultural activity downtown for anyone and everyone, and of course the folks who just docked in our harbor are welcome to come too. When our municipality supports cultural activities and arts programming through the recreation department, it's wonderful to receive such support, but by doing it in this manner, it perpetuates the idea that art and culture are solely recreational. And while of course that may be the case sometimes, it isn't the case all of the time. It's also professional. It's also an important part of our heritage and our identity. And it says something about a community when there is a department or a categorical defining department area devoted to art and culture. It makes it seem like a pretty attractive place to live. It's really important that this community of communities be open to accept the possibility of hope. It's really important to learn from the successes of other communities who, like us, are navigating the transition between how things used to be and how things ought to be. And there are a number of examples. Many were introduced to us the past 2 years at the Growing a Creative Economy conference that was held here in Sydney, hosted by the Cape Breton Centre for Craft and Design. And the conference attracted attendees from municipalities all over the Maritimes and presented speakers from all over the world who have used arts, culture, and the creative industries to transform their cities. They had speakers like Matthew Richter, who ran a program called Storefront Seattle, where they took empty storefronts and put art exhibits in them. And I spoke to Matthew about this and said, well, you're in Seattle, you know, can you draw some connections between a place where you have, 4-lane double-decker highways, and here in Sydney that's quite small. And he said it doesn't matter the size of the community as long as it's a walkable community. And what they had done in the process of simply putting art exhibits up and making it a walkable community and making art visible and appreciated had transformed a number of neighborhoods in his city. And Mark Barone, Paducah, Kentucky's artist relocation program, where this man who went to city office and nonchalantly said, well, because they knew that if I invested in the arts that, the economy will follow, as though everyone already understood that here. And he was preaching to the choir a little bit, but he was right. They had a program where they had attracted artists from other areas of the community, other areas of the country, to come and move into a particular neighborhood in Lower Town in Paducah, Kentucky, to turn it from a community in complete disrepair to a thriving cultural center. And then evidence was presented where cities that have an injection of arts and culture thrive in a variety of different communities. And then beyond that, children who receive artistic programming and an opportunity to use the creative arts become creative thinkers. They grow up to develop creative solutions to problems. So I'm blessed to be able to have attended a conference like this. And I'm blessed to be able to take those ideas and see how much they would fit into our community like a glove. I'm blessed to have had the opportunity to work in community outreach. I work for the Celtic Colours International Festival, so my daily world is immersed in the culture sector. But I've also had the privilege of working on 2 projects, gathering input from the community for the homelessness partnering strategy. So I got to see life from the social services sector, and my mind lit up. From where I am, having had the opportunity to work in both sectors, I could see the connections between the 2 sectors. It's almost like the matrix just lit up in front of me, and I could see the conduits that existed, potential conduits that existed between these 2 sectors. I could see how organizations in either sector were nose to the grind, working on achieving their own mandates, and then I could see the natural fit between the 2 worlds. Scene 1, you have a cultural organization whose mandate it is to sustain the culture and invest in children's programming. And scene 2, you have a social service organization with clients who are required childcare. There are some natural fits, but neither of the 2 cross one another very often, because if you have a conference or meeting or any type of gathering that is within the social service spectrum, it is among people who work in that spectrum, as is with the culture sector. So I want to encourage organizations and people who work with and for these organizations and volunteer with and for these organizations in these 2 sectors to look for opportunities to cross-pollinate. And I want to encourage the private sector to hold the arts sector in a higher regard. And I want to encourage the private sector to hold the social services sector in a higher regard, to consider both of these sectors of higher value, to look to see if there are opportunities for a sharing of knowledge. I'd love to see people who work at all levels of government to recognize the value in taking the time to stop and share perspectives. From each of our perspectives, we observe different things. If by nature we happen to hold a big picture perspective, the high angle lens offers a particular field of focus. So this is why it is so important from time to time to zoom in the microscope, so to speak, and have a more magnified look at the community and the issues therein. Because by doing so, we have an opportunity to see more closely what's really happening. And for those who work on the ground, face to face with individuals on a daily basis, you're operating with a field of vision like that of a microscope. And if by nature we happen to hold a close range perspective, the magnifying lens, it offers the details and knowledge that come from being so immersed in the issues and circumstances that face us. So this is why it's so important from time to time to zoom out to the aerial view, so to speak, and have a glance at the broader picture and how things may appear to be connected to each other or disconnected, as the case may be. By getting together with others to share our perspective, we can learn from one another. We remind ourselves to appreciate what information we all have to offer. And it's important to have that exchange between close range and high angle particularly, because the sharing of knowledge could be of assistance in navigating our way through things. So when you're looking at something from a high angle perspective, you might be aware that the bridge is out up ahead and be able to say, you might not want to head this way, you may want to plan an alternate route or detour well before someone who's on the ground has the opportunity to know that that's an obstacle, and vice versa. There may be a plague happening on the ground that you can't even tell from flying overhead. So it's crucial to have that dialogue, to share perspectives. If we as a society are chugging full steam ahead with the microscopic goggles on, as valuable as it is, we might miss that we're headed straight for the swamp. In terms of developing locally, this sharing needs to happen. And I think this needs to happen not just between the social services sector and the creative community, but between the private sector and the creative community, and the private sector and the social services sector, and the government, the municipal government and the community, the provincial government and the community. There's a lot of decisions that get made at the policy level that have a drastic impact on what's happening on the ground, and there's a lot of decisions that get made on the ground that could influence what happens at the policy level. There are a lot of opportunities that might happen, people in the culture sector may have access to for programming and projects that people who are in the social services sector that have limited or no core funding for their organizations can take advantage of by partnering, working together, and collaborating and sharing one another's perspectives. To bring this back into focus about the island itself and how we view it and what type of culture we've come to live in Cape Breton and how we feel about the island. Let's not look at the island as it's dying. Let's look to take care of this gorgeous landscape that we're blessed with. Let's look to helping to make the simple act of going for a hike more accessible to people who live here. Let's take care of each other, the folks who live here now. Let's work on removing the obstacles from people's lives so that daily life isn't a huge chore. And let's give people permission to love this place. Let's taste our words before we speak them and remember all of the assets and opportunities that are here and the many ideas that people have that would fall under the category of this island's potential. Thank you.
I love Cape Breton Island so much. Like, whenever I had to work outside of here, it was heartbreaking to go the other way when it came to the causeway. And I share your passion for Cape Breton. I love it so much. I tell my wife all the time, we're rich just to be living here. It doesn't matter how much money we make. We're rich because we're in Cape Breton. And I just can't say enough. But I think it's a good time for Yvette and Donovan to come up, and we're going to have, we want you to participate tonight and have some comments or questions for our keynote speakers. So if that's okay, if you guys can come up, and I have some questions to ask them myself, but then I want everybody here to be inspired and to feel that, maybe this night makes a difference for you in some way. Your time is your most valuable commodity. And for you guys to be taking your time to come here, I really, really appreciate it. And so I just, our two keynote speakers here are just going to ask some questions. answer some questions. And then it's open to you guys after that for comments or questions. Okay, so I'm going to start with Yvette. And this is a really good question. Why do you choose to live and live out your passion in this community?
I love it here. I have described this before as, you know, you have your E string on your guitar, if it's flat, and you turn your key until it becomes a true E, and then you're in tune. That's how I feel like when I'm here in Cape Breton. I can't quite describe it, but I'm not in tune when I'm not here.
So it feels like home all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was doing the wood with my parents on the weekend, and I said to my mother, I was born in Northern Ontario. I'm part Ojibwe, Mohawk, my mom's side, and French, but I'm Scottish, Irish on my dad's side. And I said to Mom, do you remember when you told me that I was born in Ontario, but I was conceived in Cape Breton? And she said, I don't remember telling you that, and she started blushing. And then I said, well, that's important to me. I'm glad, you know, you guys were down, and you and Dad had some ideas powered by passion. And the next thing you know, voila, I'm here. So I really appreciate the fact that I was conceived in Cape Breton. All right, so Donovan, from your experience, what enabled you to discover and live out your passions?
From my experience, what enabled me to discover and live out my passions?
Yeah, and live out your passions.
My bad. Still popping my ears. What enabled me to was actually when I was talking about my friend Starchild, and I was talking about him and how he really could just develop such a passion for something and just still keep happy and just be, I don't know, as an artist and have his own little world going on. He told me, if you don't love what's happening in here, you're definitely going to hate what's happening out here. So just seeing that in the way he, like, I don't know, just diverse feelings come to mind, I guess. And it's just seeing that and a chance of salvation into something that you love just really made me dive into it. And to live it out was really, I don't know, it just really changed my life in so many different ways. So just, I don't know, inspired by my friend, I guess. Inspiration.
Yeah, you're doing so great too, and I'm so glad I got to meet him yesterday. And he's so much himself, and he's such a great role model for all the people in his community. Not just the youth. I think, you know, even old people like me can be inspired. And in fact, children bring me the most source of joy in my life. So children and youth and teenagers, you're 18 now today, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, can teach us as much. And I have a really great optimism for our young people today because they make me feel good about myself. So Yvette, what do you feel is needed for your dreams and your vision to be realized?
Everyone love Cape Breton as much as I do. Would be great. And if you don't, then shut up. No, I'm just kidding. I'm half kidding. I would love it if people looked into what they could do. So whatever they were involved in, or how can they look at, you know, letting Cape Breton see its potential. So how can we make this community appear to be the thriving arts community that it is, rather than have it stored away in apartments everywhere? How can it be known as soon as you drive into the place that, you know, it's a prevalent creative community? To have, you know, those who are on the wealthier end of the spectrum not pack up the van and head to Costco at Christmas time and go downtown and buy local artisans gifts if you give your time here and contribute it to your community here. I think it would make a big difference. And I think all of us can kind of look to see what we can do, because it gets pretty exhausting. A lot of people I find that are working in Cape Breton, that making Cape Breton the best it can be, the wind gets taken out of your sails from time to time, partly through that, attitude I was speaking about, but partly through life and just wearing out. And knowing that there are other people that are going to do their part, I think makes a big difference in terms of the pendulum of hope coming back around again. And so if everybody just did what they could to, make this place a place they love to live in, if they love to live here, share that with people.
I'm so glad that I got to hear all your words, because I feel the same way. And we're so lucky to have people like Courtney, Jill, Marcia, like people that are really trying hard to promote, culture in this area. And I really appreciate all your efforts, and I'll try to do more myself. So Donovan, let's see now. Do you think that, what you do is transferable to other places? Not just where you live, but like the type of work that you do really is spreading out, like from where you're originally from?
It definitely can, yeah. I mean, I work from iHuman organization. It's a nonprofit organization that helps youth and stuff like that. And it can't go nowhere and walk, no, but it can the whole program itself, and contributing, kind of helping the community in a sense by starting with youth and at-risk youth and people who have problems, and kind of developing them from, the youth is basically where it's at. And they start there, and that's how you develop a community. In their belief anyways, and it's just, they never turn down a youth, and eventually, yeah, it should be transferable to other places. I mean, if such an organization as iHuman was here, that'd be crazy. It's I'm not even from here. I was only here for 2 days, and I would live here. It's I just want to find a nice girl and just shack up. That's all I want to do. But yeah, it definitely is. It can come to different places. It's just, from where we are, what we're taught is just, we're told a handful of people, even 5 people can make a big difference. Just a handful of people, that's all it needs. So yeah, I'd say indubitably, yes.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, and you're here, and you're impacting people on the other side of the country, and I wish you the best wherever you go, because I know people would benefit from all that you offer, and the way you are. That's the thing, is your way is really beautiful.
Thanks.
And I mean that in a good way. It's nice to meet people who actually make a difference, and you walk away from the conversation or the experience thinking, wow, I'd like to be more like that myself. And thanks for brightening up my world. Everything counts. There's no such thing as a neutral emotion. Emotions are either positively or negatively charged along a continuum. So everything we do makes a difference. I just want to throw it out to all of you to comment or to ask questions to our keynote speakers tonight. And just something on your mind, whatever's on your mind. We want you guys to talk. Yeah.
Well, I'm just sort of curious about the synergy between your conversations. You mentioned that being on the Council for Homelessness here, I know that one of the problems is that homelessness is so invisible here, right? Unless you're in it, you don't know it's there. And Donovan, I guess I was wondering from your perspective, what are some of the most important things we can be doing to help those people who don't want to show that they're homeless, but need that help? The help that you got. What are some of the things that would be a big difference?
You or me first?
You first.
Oh, me first? Oh, okay. So wait, repeat the question.
What would you say are the top 3 things we should be doing to help people who are experiencing homelessness?
Well, a very difficult aspect of it is really when it comes to a homeless person, and them not showing that they are homeless. That's the whole point of it, is when it comes to help in any circumstance,
It all starts with that one person reaching out for it. You know, a person's not gonna reach for an empty kind of cupboard looking for what is that called again? Utensils, trying to eat, right? Because there's not. It appears to be nothing there. So you know, when the community doesn't have to support itself, in a sense, it's like when I was homeless and I was out and about, I didn't tell nobody. You know, I probably look like it, but I didn't try to reach out and be like, man, I suck. I'm homeless, man. You know, it's just like it didn't happen because I didn't find no supports until I met iHuman. You know, so it's an insecurity. It's a very tough insecurity that you have to face when you're in that kind of situation. It's just a tough insecurity to try to get through that wall. But if you know somebody is in that situation, my best top 3 things would just to be at least talk to that person about their situation. Not even talk to them. Another thing would just be just to listen. And another thing is just do what you can. There's just 3 simple things that could change somebody's life. And that's it. It's just being human with somebody, believe it or not. It's not a big fairy tale in this world, right? It's just be a human with somebody in need. You'll get that back. But that's just my best advice.
And I kind of wanted to add, my role with that whole homeless thing was basically I had done 2 contracts where I worked on the community consultation so I'm not on the council, but I got the data from the people. But that was one of the big challenges was the first voice wasn't necessarily present. We were always talking to people who were working with organizations that were helping kids. And you mentioned like you had couch-surfed for a few years. That's a big problem here. That was one of the challenges that was identified was we don't even know how to count how many people are really homeless in this community because so many people couch-surf, camp, you know, aren't necessarily accessing the services that are here, nor do they know what services are available. So that's really important, those 3 points, to just like if everybody did listen and do what you can, I think that would make a big difference. And I mean, my challenge there was to, you know, how do you get the message out to folks who are without a home to say, if we can't count you, the government won't believe you exist, you know? Like, so we need to know that how many of you there are. But yeah, I suppose it does, on the upside, we're fortunate to live in a community where, you know, people do help each other out. So, but yeah, it's a challenge.
You can make ads, actually. I don't know how to make ads. Like, I don't know what you should say or whatever. Just make ads. It's not like newspaper ads, like, looking for homeless people, let me count you. No, it's just like, it's just make ads of a support system. It's like, you need help, ? Like one of those advocate ads I always see at home. I called one at one point, and it was pretty dope. But, yeah, make ads.
An iHuman here would be really good too, I think. It would.
Yeah, an iHuman here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very fancy you say that. Very fancy.
Does anybody else want to ask a question or make a comment?
Please. That was good.
If you do, Jill's going to pass you the mic this time.
There you go. I don't know if this helps at all. I was very shocked that you just turned 18. I teach in the public school system, and I teach 17, 18-year-olds all the time, and you were so well-spoken. So it just amazes me that you're your age. I thought you were closer to my age. Not that you look old, but amazing how you got so much life experience in 18 years. It's crazy. So congratulations. That's fantastic. On that same line of public school teaching, I substituted today grade 7 social studies, and they were actually talking about economics, and the question was, it's not the question, kind of what they were looking at was pre-industrial, post-industrial, pre-colonialism, post-colonialism, and what it looked at first was the First Nations and Inuit community before industrialization, before colonialism. They used what they had. So exactly what you said, Yvette, earlier. They used what they had. They used what was here, the natural resources, to survive and thrive. the questions that came after that were, what were their needs and what were their wants? So what I want to ask you, Yvette, is what do you think are the needs? Did I just shut that off? No, I don't think so. What are the needs and the wants of Cape Bretoners today? So I know that that's a huge question, and I know that you can't necessarily answer it, but what do you think are some of the needs and some of the wants? And maybe we can look at using what we have to address those questions, because like you said, we don't want to try to export out, like, you know, you don't want to give everything away to the cruise ship people, you want to give some to the people here too. You don't want to give everything that we have away when you can do a lot for us here. So what do you think maybe are some of our needs and wants that we can work towards?
Okay. I think we need happiness. You know, we need good health. We need nourishment. We need shelter. We need relationships and friendships. And that, you know, that's what gives us meaning. I think what our wants are pretty different. You know, I think that's what's shifting, because I think a lot of people came to believe they've wanted, you know, money. Well, sure, everybody wants money, but it became the be-all and end-all of things. So, you know, the almighty dollar became the new religion, if you will. And we've came so far from when, you know, times when you did take what you need, you used what you needed, you gave thanks for what you had, you shared, you traded with people. And since the dollar became, you know, our method of trade, we became really detached from the why behind the dollar. So we want a job to pay our mortgage. We want our mortgage to provide us with a place to live. We want a place to live because we want to raise our family here because. So those are the questions that I think we still have to ask ourselves, like, what do we really want? Do we want a you know, if depending on the person, I guess, like, you want a family, you want a healthy, safe place to raise your kids, or if you don't want a family, you want a healthy, safe place to walk your dog. You know, and I think that we want to be appreciated and we want to be accepted. I think that's a human condition that's prevalent. I think that is something that spills over into the, you know, spills over into the attitude that's attached to living here too. Myself, I think that, you know, when you're talking to someone, depending on their own perspective, if you say you're living in Cape Breton, depending on who you're talking to, sometimes you're going to get a, "Aw, really?" Or like you're stuck there, as if it's some sort of insult to be living in this beautiful place. So, you know, I think that it becomes intensely personal with what you want, and you start thinking about why you think you want what you say you want. I don't know if that answered your question at all.
Nice.
First of all, I just want to say that, Donovan, welcome here to Cape Breton, and I'm sure we love you and we appreciate you saying that, what you did earlier. Everything that you shared with us here this evening, insofar as your story, how you started out on the street, so to speak, and moved on, and I think all in all that in one way or another, as the saying goes, the more you struggle one way or another, at least I believe it makes you a stronger individual to begin with. The words that you shared with us this evening were not only extraordinarily inspirational, your story. I will tell you that I was never really into rap before, but after hearing you tonight, I'll start. And, well, I'm being honest, but I really enjoyed what you did and you shared with us. Yvette, you're extremely inspirational in your own way, especially promoting our island here on Cape Breton. The video that we saw from the late Ryan Gillis was, well, it goes beyond words. I said this gentleman sitting next to me, even before the video started, I already had goosebumps. Mike, Him and I go back a long way. Actually, we went to high school together in Ayrshire, Almadam. Lapi I've known for years. Another thing I'd like to say is that I'm so pleased to be here, first of all. And I think it's wonderful that this building is being utilized in such a way as it is. My great aunt actually was a nun here for many years. Unfortunately, passed away last year. And myself, it took me a very, very long time to admit, and I'm here this evening in front of all of you to say that I myself struggled tremendously over the years with an alcohol addiction. I've lived in many different places, including Edmonton. I moved back here in 1991 after spending 6 months in Edmonton. Moved there with a so-called friend that I met in Halifax, moved to PEI, Edmonton. I sold everything I had, everything, to take a chance. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, and I was left basically on my own in a big city of 2 million people. And late one evening at a downtown bar, I was left on my own completely, not a cent in my pocket, no way to get home. And amazingly, I don't know how I did it yet, but I walked 10 miles, collapsed that morning, and survived. Eventually came home. I lived in many different areas throughout the country, and radio announcing, and I write and so on. But when an addiction gets a hold of you, whether you started off at an early age, further on, or whatever the case may be, it's as the saying goes, that you sell your soul to the devil. And I tried many times to quit. They say you slip, you fall, you get back up again. But the main thing is you try. Again, Donovan, the fact that you're doing what you do is so, so inspiring. I wish I had someone around me like yourself when I was young, to turn to. But that stigma, being afraid perhaps of saying, you don't want to admit you're homeless, you don't want to admit you're an addict. It's not an easy thing to do. I guess I have to sort of give myself a bit of a pat on the shoulder. I never thought I could beat this inner demon. But as of tomorrow, on my own, and I get emotional saying this, it'll be 100 days. So. And just one thing I want to add here, in terms of writing I've done over the years and so on. People search for some happiness, they search for some peace, they search for contentment in their lives. I believe all three of them can be found, first of all, right here internally within your heart, your mind, in particular within a quiet mind, not one all boggled up and jumbled, especially with addictions. And once you can possibly reach that point where you have that inner peace, tranquility, quietness within your mind, you can then experience complete freedom in your life. And also, too, I'd just like to say that if you're good to yourself, then perhaps the self within you will return the favor. And I say God bless to all of you. Take care, and again, I'm honored to be here this evening. Thanks again to Yvette and Donovan.
That was dope. Thanks.
I just wanted to say happy birthday. I usually don't speak while I'm working, but I just wanted to add one thing, and that is, you can move to Cape Breton. and laugh if you want, but you really can. And there's a ton of people here that would love to help you with that transition if you want to come here and move here and live a life here. I'm very incredibly serious right now. And tell your friends, you'd be more than welcome.
I told them about the reserve. Which one is it? The one real close to here. Oh, number 2. Yeah, I was like, man, that reserve, because reserves back home are like run down and they're like craziness. And I was like, man, this reserve, they have their own gym. They have like a Tim Hortons on the reserve. All the houses look nice. People smile. I was like, man, if you need a girlfriend and want to move somewhere, man, I was like, that is the best place. And can I just say that everybody, when I first came here, everybody was saying hi. Everyone was like, hey, hi. It weirded me out. And that was the first time someone has welcomed me to Cape Breton. So, thanks. Yeah, y'all look dope. Yeah.
Okay, if there's any burning questions right now or comments you want to make, that'll be great. And then we're going to just pretty well have one more thing to do after this.
Hi there. I just wanted to thank both of you for speaking this evening and sharing your stories and your voice, and also the film as well. It's very moving to hear Ryan's voice posthumously. I guess I wanted to touch on an aspect that was brought through the film and sort of touched on by both of you as well, in that sometimes in communities we have a lot of silence and not speaking. And I think that it's something that I've encountered personally, but also encountered with other people, not just here, but when I've lived away, in how to truly cultivate your own voice and not be frightened or ashamed to speak up when other people silence you, or if you're bound by a culture of silence or a culture of fear or a culture of status quo, and not wanting people to see your dirty laundry, so to speak, or the things that you find frightening. And I was wondering if either one of you or both of you would like to share anything about how you've cultivated your own voice, or how you continue to cultivate and speak up in times when you might find it challenging or resistance to doing so.
Art is a wonderful tool.
Yes.
Like, art's a gift for that, because you are given a voice without necessarily being handed the microphone, so to speak. I mean, you might have a microphone depending on your art, but it also may be a visual art, and it may be something else, and that's something that, especially for you, I know you're an artist too, so I think that you know, taking advantage of your inner artist to find your voice or to let it out is a huge thing. So, you know, I know my talk might be focused around, you know, the island itself, but a lot of artists live here, and a lot of artists stick it out here, and a lot of artists are silenced here. There are people like, you know, in a situation like yourself at iHuman, where, you know, the rapping was, you know, oh, cool, you can talk about what I'm going through. I mean, your rap up there was amazing, because you're sharing your story through, you know, your art. And I think that it's always a gift you should consider. It is, yeah, it's your voice when you might feel silent. You always have.
Word. I say the whole thought of it is just, I don't know. There's too much people seek for like happiness, right? It's like everybody just wants to be happy and just whatever. But it's just like not enough people want to be satisfied, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
So it's just the whole point of seeking satisfaction, you know? That's just one point that just hit. It was one of my relatives who told me at one point when I was down and out, he's like, don't try to be happy, be satisfied, man. I was like, oh. We were actually buying like pop and chips, and I was like, oh, I want this, I want that. He's like, no, go try and be happy, just be satisfied. It was like, I was like, word. And it's just, a lot of that really just comes into speaking up about a lot of stuff. Because everybody faces a time where they're just unhappy about everything. And they want to be happy, but just to speak up, at least you're satisfied, you know? So it's just, that's what I encourage, is just to really, if you really are seeking for satisfaction, just speak up. And it's really like the will to speak up. It depends on different people, it really varies, you know? But I forgot the question, that's why I'm still talking.
Okay, I think we're going to wrap it up now, just looking at time frames, but remember that you can stick around and talk to very approachable keynote speakers and very well informed, and all of us will be happy to meet you. And this is the last thing for the evening. I'd like to welcome Dr. Tanya Brand-Barrett up, please.
Okay, I'll move.
And I just have a note here. Dr. Tanya Brand-Barrett is Associate Dean of Research and Graduate Studies and Associate Professor of Communication at Cape Breton University. For the past 4 years, she has been conducting multimedia and art-related research that explores ways young people living in small regional communities experience and perceive community engagement. So, for the rest of the evening, this is all yours.
Thanks. I'll just keep you for a couple of minutes. I just want to explain a little bit about the artwork that you'll see at the back of the room. I'm a teacher at CBU and in the community. I'm a mom. I have a 20-year-old and an 18-year-old son. I do a lot of coaching. People who want to learn how to run, I love to teach them, and a lot of times that's young people. So I am really privileged to spend a lot of my time with young people. And I'm always amazed, as I was tonight, with what they can do. And it just doesn't match up with a lot of the popular media messages of youth disengagement. And so I began this research study with a number of students of mine, Courtney Thorne, Grace McNeil, Brittany Erickson, Joshua Horton, and Stephanie McCormick, who's here tonight. And we talk to young people about ways that they are engaged in the community, what the community means to them. And instead of just using talking, words are powerful, but as we saw here tonight, there's so much more that we have at our disposal when we think creatively about how to express ourselves. So we asked the young people to take photographs that illustrated ways they were involved in the community or they wanted to be involved. Pick a song that spoke to them and share it with us, or create a piece of art. And we met in my backyard, in the living rooms, in youth centers, wherever we could bring people together. We talked about community, we talked about engagement, and these were some of the pieces that were created. So I welcome you to take a look at them. I'll be happy to tell you more about some of the things that I've learned. We have a website, we have a blog, and what we do a lot of the time now is take these paintings, we go out into the community, libraries, youth centers, and we also bring all of the supplies so people can look at the work and then create their own and keep the conversation going. So hopefully tonight you can get a little taste of what we've been up to. So thank you so much.
All right, so that's it. I think that's it for the evening. So I'm so glad you guys all came out. Thank you so much. And just talk to us after this is all over. Just keep mingling and talking, hopefully, and look at the beautiful artwork. Thank you.